All right. Welcome, everybody, to episode 6 of the Game of Spoilers show, I guess you would call it.
Yeah. By the way, I'm sorry for all the noises in the intro.
Oh, no, I muted the mic, so no one probably heard it at all.
Because I was like, where does that sound come from? Oh, it's from my microphone.
No. Sunniva has a case of the sniffles and a little bit of a fever today, so we're just happy that she's actually able to join us at all, really. My name is Anita. I'm also known as Pixie Dust Cosplay, and I'm usually the main host of the CosCast. But today, I am not the main host. Today, my lovely co-host, Sunniva, is in charge.
Yeah. Well, welcome to the Game of Spoilers. We're gonna talk today about episode 6, which is almost the last episode. It's not the last, but almost the last. It could have been the last for all I care, really, because it was really, really interesting and fun and cliffhangers all over. Mm-hmm. My name is Sunniva, aka Annabella. Cosplay. Yeah. And I'm gonna lead you through this Game of Spoilers thing that we do. And we have another person with us too, who is...
Hello, my name is Cersei Lannister. No, I'm sorry. My name is Tonya, also known as... I was almost going to say Pixie Dust, but that's not true.
You lie.
Anya Cosplay and Tonya Geeks and Creations on Instagram. And yeah. No, but today I'm Cersei.
Today you are Cersei.
All right. Shall we get right into it, ladies?
Let's start.
Because this is a 17-minute long episode of awesomeness. The episode is called Beyond the Wall, which means that most of the action in this episode is, beyond the wall.
Yeah.
Naturally enough. And actually, the opening scene of this episode was quite nice because you can see the war table at Dragonstone, and they just pan over Westeros, and when they hit Beyond the Wall, they just cut right to our A-team of outlaws, really, walking to their destination. I'm not really sure where they really... I'm not sure that they... Hey, Barkspawn. No, go away. I'm not really... They know themselves where they are going, but they have a mission, and they are looking for a walker. And obviously that this takes some time, and they are able to speak amongst each other. And this is probably one of the most humoristic scenes when they just walk and talk amongst each other, because none of these people in this group like each other very much, it seems.
That we know of, at least. A lot of them don't even know each other.
Well, we do know that all of them have some sort of link, connection through...
Yeah,
in some way.
To one of the other people in the group, at least.
Oh, yeah. But it starts with Tormund and Jon and Gendry. They're just talking, and Gendry's like, it's so cold here. What do you do to keep warm? And Tormund's like, well... walking's good, fighting's better, fucking's best, which is hilarious and so typical Tormund thing to say. And I also find it really funny when Tormund is complaining on the stench and the warmth down south, and Jon's like, "You've been to Winterfell, that's north."
He's like, "No, it's south of the wall, so it's south."
Yeah, exactly. Tormund's like, right.
North.
And they have a really nice conversation about... Because Gendry leaves this conversation, I don't know why, but he does. So it's just Tormund and Jon talking about bending the knee. And Tormund says something about Mance Rayder, because he didn't bend the knee either. He was too proud. And Tormund says something like, how many must die for your pride? Or something.
For one man's pride.
Yeah. And do we think that Jon is like, you're right, Tormund? Or
I think he's considering it.
Yeah. It gave him something to chew on.
Yeah. Because considering what happens later in the episode, I guess that this comment from Tormund probably has grinded his gears, or not grinded, but oiled them.
It started something.
Yeah. Then we also have a conversation with Gendry and the Brotherhood Without Banners, where they discuss Gendry is pretty much a bit sour, upset that they sold him to the Red Melisandre sorceress, and that she wanted to kill him. And I also kind of think this is a bit funny because you can see Gendry being ganged up on by both Beric and Toros of Myr, and the Hound is also in on it. So it's like the Hound is sort of in this Banners Without... No, sorry. My brain doesn't work today at all.
No, but that's okay.
Band Without Banners, I don't know, this group.
The Brotherhood Without Banners.
Thank you.
Yes.
But what do we think about this bitching?
Well, I mean, it's sort of justified because they did sell him to the Red, witch, and she did pin him to a bed and put leeches on his body. But he escaped and he's alive, so, can't complain too much.
That was like, well, you're alive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think he's more like that he feels betrayed because he wanted to join them.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
It's like, I thought you guys were cool, and you're totally not.
Yeah, it's like when you meet your childhood hero and they turn out to be that biggest douche ever. Of course, you're gonna be, sourpuss.
Yeah, of course. Then we have the Jorah and Jon talk about Longclaw, which I thought was really nice, really, because it's like the elephant the pink elephant in the room, really, because we were all thinking it last episode when Jorah and Jon met and was like, you have his sword, kinda. Yeah. Jon's like, hey, I got the pommel changed to a wolf. I hope it's okay. Do you want it back?
I'm sorry, I pissed on your sword. Want it?
No, but I thought it was a nice scene too, because what it shows is that they are both men of a certain type of character. Like, oh, this has been in your family for so long. It is only rightful that you have it. No, I forfeited it when I disgraced my family's name. You should have it. He gave it to you. It's kind of like okay, so we're two noble guys,
Yeah, it's like
trying to do the right thing.
I'm trying to be so nice to you. I'm very gallant. It's okay. I'm more gallant than you.
But I think this says a lot about Jorah as well. That he deserves the knighthood. He deserves to be a knight, and he is probably one of the only nice people in that group, because the other people who's there are bandits and smugglers and sneaky sneaks and stuff like that. But Jorah, he isn't. Well, he's outcast, of course, but he just seems like a generally nice person.
Well, yeah, now he's come a long way since trading slaves and stuff. To satisfy his money grabbing wife. So yeah, but I think Jorah has had a grand transformation ever since he met Daenerys.
He has. But let's move on, because I don't really think that there's so much into these conversations. Just to put things together, piece them a bit together, just so we know where things are and how people feel. Just to bring this group together, really.
I agree.
We then have a scene at Winterfell with Arya and Sansa, and they're standing there looking out over the courtyard of Winterfell, and Arya is talking to Sansa about, oh, you don't know what it's like here. You were probably inside knitting or something. I were out here and practiced bow and arrow, and I remember father stood here watching me shoot, and he clapped at me. He was so proud of me, and you got him killed. Wah! What do we think, you guys?
I was thinking, oh my god, did you really get yourself manipulated by Littlefinger? Oh no.
Yeah, it's kind of like, that was easy. But I can understand it. I mean, Arya's been through so much since King's Landing, since season 1, and to find out that Sansa had betrayed her family by saying, "Oh, the Lannisters, are treating me well, and you should come bend the knee, and Dad is a traitor and stuff." It probably really, really hurt. So Arya's probably feeling really betrayed by that.
And also Arya is quite young.
Yes, she's very young still.
She doesn't have the life experience yet to know that other people can outsmart her yet, because in her mind right now she is super powerful and she hasn't really had any bumps in the road since Waif. So I just think that she is a bit naive still. And she has a lot to learn.
She still lacks the insight of what Sansa's been through and how Sansa has, experienced things and how low Sansa have been in the beginning.
Yeah. But I also found the change, because we saw the change last episode, that Arya suddenly turned a bit hostile against Sansa. And we did touch upon the subject a bit, but I still find that Arya is a bit too hostile, and I find it a bit weird. Do you guys?
Yeah, me too. I was thinking maybe Arya's playing Littlefinger's game to, dupe him.
Maybe.
She might. Who knows? But it's still. I think also she does this to test Sansa. Maybe she has a hard time reading Sansa because she used to know her. And she lets her impression of what she used to be kind of cloud her judgment now, because she can't be as intuitive about reading Sansa's character as she is now, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, I think maybe Sansa has gotten better at hiding her feelings in contrast to what she did before. Because when she was younger, all her emotions lay on the outside and she was easy to read what she wanted.
Yeah. Ranirav, okay. She's saying Arya might be playing up against Littlefinger, seeing his scheme. Really hoping for that, because the implications of her falling for Littlefinger's agenda is, scary.
Yeah.
But
I think she's being a wee bit antagonistic towards Sansa, absolutely.
But what do we think of Sansa's responses? Because she's a good talker. Because Sansa has the really... She has an excuse for everything.
I think she's doing exactly what Littlefinger advised her to do a few episodes ago. Think about everything, then you will never be surprised.
Yeah,
and always.
It seems like she's really doing that, about how she tries to please all the lords and ladies of the North, to make everybody stay together. And she's just being really, really, really smart about it.
Yeah.
And Arya is too emotionally angry about the whole situation. And then the last comment that Sansa says is that anger makes you do unfortunate things, and then Arya's like, sometimes fear makes you do unfortunate things, I'll go with anger. And then they leave each other. It's like, is this maybe a foreshowing of Littlefinger? Because I think Littlefinger is now scheming against both Sansa and Arya out of fear.
Yeah,
so
it's possible. But I mean, I'm wondering if it kind of just all goes back to chaos is a ladder. He just doesn't want things to consolidate, to fall into rest.
He doesn't want them to team up against him, because that will really ruin his own plot.
Yeah, but I think that he has done too much, because every time we've seen Littlefinger do things in the past, he has always had people doing it for him. Now he is doing it himself. He is the one planting stuff. He is the one that tries to actually fool Arya. And he's never done that before. And I think that might be his downfall, because now it's so much easier to lead things back to him.
Yeah. I think that fuck him over.
I think that he's doing some rash things now out of fear.
Yeah, it's possible.
Yeah.
Well, we'll just have to wait and see.
Yes. But there are some definite tension building up.
Oh, yeah.
That might be scary. Who knows? And then we get back to Beyond the Wall with their A-team. I'm just going to call them A-team because they're amazing.
Yeah.
So amazing team, really. And we have more of those small talks between characters, and Tormund and the Hound talk about gingers. And I find this really, really interesting because it seems that in this episode we do have a lot of we do see a lot of the Hound. The Hound is not just in the background, he is being put in front of you very, very many scenes, and that is kind of weird to me. This has to mean something. Conspiracy theory right here. And Tormund says that gingers are kissed by fire, just like you, because how the Hound is like, no, I'm not angry at people. It's not that I don't like wildlings, I just don't like gingers. And then Tormund's like, well, gingers are kissed by fire, just like you. Have you noticed the same as me this episode about the Hound, or?
Yeah, he has been way more active and way more prominent in this episode than he has been in a lot of the past episodes this season.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that maybe a lot of the episodes, late episodes in this season, has been building up to him taking a more forward role, because in the past he was like behind, fearful, and acting out of fear. Now he's getting more out there, maybe facing his fears a bit more.
Oh, I have a whole different theory about him, because you know the whole Azor Ahai thing, the hero?
I figured that's where you were going with that.
I'm thinking that this might actually be the Hound. And we're going to get back to this later, because there's a lot of stuff that's going to happen that might lead to this to actually be...
Also, we should mention, by the end of the episode, when we've gone through, like, the main plot, if anyone wants to jump in and be a drop-in guest, let us know, because we'll send you a link on Messenger on Facebook, so you can just jump in if you want to and talk about your theories or your points of view.
Yes.
About the show.
About the show, yes. Obviously.
But moving on, because what I find interesting and what made me really scared for Tormund this episode, because I was like, oh, Tormund's gonna die. And they were talking about Brienne, and you know, when Game of Thrones introduce love interest and make us care for characters, they usually kill them off. And now Tormund was like, oh, I have a lady back at Winterfell. She's tall as a mountain, and she has blue-eyed and blonde hair, and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, want to have monster children with her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the Hound says, Brienne of Tarth? He's like, you know her? It was so good.
Are you with her? No, she doesn't know it yet.
No. I'm not with her, but I plan to be. Basically.
Ooh, the Hound as a possible Azor Ahai. So intriguing. Yes, it is. Run it, Rob. Okay, that's what you're...
Dara.
Sorry. Blame the fever.
He's Rara now. It's done.
Yeah. And then we have Jon talking to Beric Dondarrion, which is what we wanted to happen, because they talk about being resurrected and stuff like that. And one thing that I really found funny is that Beric's like, you don't really look like your father.
Because he's not. He's not
you
your
must
father.
check your mother. Right.
Sure.
And they talk about the Lord of Light a lot. We are soldiers. We have to know what we're fighting for, sort of thing, which is life, and that death is basically your enemy, and the enemy always wins. So Beric has some scary wording, I would say.
Yeah, he's very depressing to listen to.
But he's smiling all the time, and he has this look in his eye, and I'm like, yeah, what you said now doesn't make any sense, but I'm with you. That's how
to me, it made perfect sense, because death always wins. It's true. We're all gonna die. It just depends on, how much you're willing to fight against it.
It's true.
It made complete sense to me. Also, I just have to say that I find his man bun very charming. It's adorable.
Thoros of Myr, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The man bun is adorable.
It is. No, but the thing between John and Beric made sense. It was not that. It was just that he has a very happy way of saying really, really dark stuff.
Well, yeah, he's an optimist.
Well,
Sure. He's an optimistic pessimist, is what I would call it. I kind of classify myself as an optimistic pessimist because you know things are going to shit, but at least you can do the best with what you got.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Cute.
Oh my god, that's so adorable.
We're all gonna die tomorrow. Let's have fun.
Yeah, let's have a party.
Yeah.
10 go on a party.
But also, since they have so much focus on the Lord of Light, I do believe that John and the Lord of Light will have some more sort of... It will be important, because the Lord of Light just don't bring anyone to life again. And at some point, this will have something significant to do with John's role, I think.
Absolutely.
And then they find the mountain that looks like an arrowhead, which the Hound saw in his vision in the flames.
Mm-hmm.
Then we switch to a scene between Tyrion and Dany. They have a discussion which creates even more tension between the two, because there has been a lot of tension between the two in the latest episodes. It seems like Tyrion has sort of lost a bit of his steam with Dany, and she questions a lot of the stuff that he says. It might be because of Olenna's comment to her, like, be careful to listen to clever men or something, but he has made some poor choices, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely.
It starts off a bit funny, though. Heroes do stupid things and then they die. Is there something to this?
Well, yeah, so far most of the heroes in her life has died. The only one who's been like a hero to her who hasn't died or gotten seriously injured is Dario Naharis and Jorah Mormont. And Jorah, well, he was as close to dying as you can get, really.
Yeah, and but it's not just in her life, it's in general.
Yeah.
It's just a general saying.
Well, yeah, I mean, Eddard Stark tried to be a hero and tried to be normal. He died. Robb tried to be a hero. He died.
Yeah, and I also get the feeling that she's genuinely worried about John, and that maybe there has been some development in her feelings towards John.
For sure.
Makes her like, why did he have to go? Oh, I hate him so much. I hope he doesn't die so I can come back and strangle him.
and when Tyrion's like, why do you care about, or like this John character or something, and she just like, no, he's too little for me. And it's like, what? Why have you? So it means that you've actually been on the thought. So that confirms that Dany definitely have some sort of,
there's
romantic things in her mind.
Yeah. And he's kind of the smallest one she's been interested in.
Well, yeah, so far.
Yeah.
For sure.
Mentioning Ned's death way too soon.
Aww, sorry. Too soon. But that was totally her being like, no, I don't want to talk about it. I don't like him.
And her the way she her eyes move and her body movement is such of a teenage girl.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Because she is still a teenage girl. She is not an adult.
No. And I think that is some of the reason why Tyrion poorly words himself later about her being too impulsive, because she is.
Yeah.
Anyway, they discuss tactics against Cersei. And what do we think about the conversation that they have amongst each other? Because Dany is challenging Tyrion all the time.
Yes.
And this is the first time in a long while I find that Tyrion actually has good answers to everything he says.
Yeah. Well, it's difficult. I mean, Tyrion has been a little bit weak over the season. He hasn't been very, like, firm and, like, no, we can't do this. And whenever he's tried to be firm, he's like, oh, you don't want to? Okay, then I guess So
Yeah.
I want to see more from Tyrion, and hopefully we'll get to see that.
Yeah, I think so, because it seems like it's building up, because he can't be brilliant all the time. It's like with heroes, or anyone in a movie or a TV series. They have to be a bit weak before they can be awesome.
Yeah.
If they're awesome all the time,
It's boring.
you can't overgo that every time.
No.
It's not possible. So you have to make them a bit weak in a while, just so they will come back. And
but
basic narrative structure, basically.
yeah, but I also think that he's going through stuff, because when he was over at what's the place called, shithole across the sea, then he was like, huh?
Marine?
Yeah, sure. And he was like all big talk. Oh, I will follow you wherever. Let's do this towards my, family. But now he's over at his home. He's plotting tactics about bringing his own family down, and he's just seen a really gruesome attack against his own family's army, and almost saw Jamie die. And of course he would be affected by that. I mean, I'm sure he's struggling a bit inside, because he's actually moving against his own family, even though he hates his sister. He doesn't hate his brother.
No.
No,
I mean, clearly he's probably struggling with the fact that the war is become very real, and he actually has to fight his own family to win.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I'm guessing he's also building up to actually convincing himself that this is the right thing to do.
Yeah.
It's the inner conflict.
Yeah. And Dany, I think she's still just tired of waiting around and not doing things, and she doesn't want to talk about ifs and maybes, and what she has decided that this is going to happen. I'm going to have the Iron Throne. No discussions, no waiting, no ifs, no maybes. Done deal. Then we'll talk. Once I sit on the Iron Throne, then we'll talk about things.
But why is Tyrion so concerned about the successor?
Well, because a lot of the turmoil that has been happening in the Seven Kingdoms has often been because there have been no legitimate successors. Like, there have been bastards and missing heirs and mad kings. And of course, seeing as she's a Targaryen, he's still probably a little bit worried that she'll go mad eventually. So he's probably just trying to hedge his bets, because he wants a stable Westeros that will have peace.
Yeah, she's not the only one who's tried to usurp the Iron Throne. So, and a lot of the others, they died trying to. And of course, if she should succeed by, taking down Cersei, and then for some reason that she should die after that, then who will succeed her?
Yeah. Avon says the same in the chat. If she dies, they have no clear successor. And also about Tyrion, he has just returned to Westeros with a foreign queen, slaying old allies and his own house. I bet he wouldn't be too far up on his high horse at first. No, makes sense.
No. And especially since he doesn't like violence at all, and he has been, in the middle of the battleground, he's always been just planning it. He's never really been out there seeing it himself, except with Joffrey, of course, but
Ranurov is asking, I might be foreshadowing, but what is Varys doing in the meanwhile? We don't know. We don't
know. Either he's spying for Cersei, because I think that he's still playing on both sides, because Cersei, she knows everything.
Oh, he's playing for the people. He's been very clear about that. He'll be on the side for the people until it's, clear that side is no longer good enough.
Yeah, of course he does, but still, I find that Cersei is getting her information about Daenerys a bit too much of it, and it should be stuff that she shouldn't, being able to know.
Also, no, I'll save that for the next scene. Never mind.
All right, let's move on. But because we've touched a lot about the stuff that I wanted to talk about in this scene, so I'm not gonna move into this, except for one question. And do we think that we will see more of Tyrion being more brilliant maybe next episode?
Possibly. I mean, he's probably going to have a showdown with his siblings, so he better be on his fucking game.
Yeah. I think there's going to be a big King's Landing stuff happening in next episode, and I really hope that Tyrion steps up his game.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. Then we get to Snowstorm Beyond the Wall. Our A-team gets attacked by a White Walker polar bear.
Yeah, what about that polar bear? I mean, did he warp?
Can I just say one thing? What do we think of this scene? I mean, it's really nothing of importance to the plot that we know that's happening here. So what is it telling us? And this is where the Hound Azor Ahai theory comes into mind for my part, because this scene is totally from his perspective. Everything that happens, we see where he is almost. And he's the one who gets attacked. He's the one who freezes. He's the one to see his friend, being bitten by this thing. And when he kind of turns around and leaves as Beric is, burning Thoros' skin with the sword, Jorah is looking like longingly after the Hound as he leaves the scene. So I'm thinking nothing else happens here except for feelings and emotions that the Hound is experiencing.
Yeah. One of the things that bothered me about this scene, because I'm going to say I loved this episode so much, but I have so many problems with this episode too. And just arrest me if you disagree, but this polar bear is basically a White Walker. They've killed it, sure. But they could have brought the body back. Or there was this one wildling guy that got bitten and killed by the polar bear. If you leave bodies in the wild, you have to burn them or they'll rise again. So they could have just waited for him to rise, captured him, and gone back. No. Instead of moving forwards.
As we saw when the White Walkers were attacking Hardhome, the people who died by the walkers didn't just rise, they rised after the Night King kind of took them up together. So this polar bear might have been, just a project for them. And it's not like he cannot raise people that he kills, There needs to be a proper white who's there who can, with the powers to actually raise them to them up again.
That's where I'm kind of, because I don't remember which season, because I don't remember stuff like that. But earlier season when Jon Snow was in the Night Watch.
Yeah, the commander rose again, or one of the people they brought in from the wild
and he was
rose
dead,
again.
and no one was touching him.
No, but they don't have to touch you. They just have to be close by.
Yeah, but it wasn't close
there
by.
weren't anyone close by because they were at the Citadel, or at the at the Watch. So that's.
But wasn't it the White Walker that they had attacked? I don't remember this.
No, because it was one of their brothers that had been attacked. He was dead. They had brought him back into the keep, and in the middle of the night, that guy rose up and tried to kill the Knight Commander, and Jon stopped him by throwing fire at him, and thus injuring his hand, and it was after that the Knight Commander gave him Longclaw.
Yep. Right. I don't remember this.
So that's why I'm kind of like,
yes.
You could have just ended it there. Also, I think this whole mission to go beyond the wall and get a fucking White Walker is stupid, because I don't think that Cersei is going to be moved anyway. I just think that she's going to try to use this meeting to fuck everyone over as much as possible.
Oh yeah, she is. But
it's stupid.
But the White Walker thing is the only thing that they've got. I don't know. I'm like, yeah, sure, just go for it. Yeah. And I feel like this is what you do when you play Dungeons and Dragons. You just go out on a quest and you get a quest and you don't question why. You just have to do it. That's how I feel about this.
It kind of feels like that. But so I feel like this whole going beyond the wall is basically just a plot structure to make Daenerys realize how bad the White Walker threat is.
And they have to be a bit they needed to have a dragon up there so they could turn it.
Yeah.
Anyway,
that's how I feel about it.
But then I don't understand why didn't you like the polar bear?
Yeah.
I didn't understand that then.
Oh no, it's not that I don't like it. It's just that they could have fucking just taken that polar bear with them. It's or the guy who got killed by the polar bear. Cause
it was probably too big, and when it was on fire, they probably couldn't do it. I don't know.
Either way, it's just yeah. To me, it seems like they could have just stopped their wild goose chase then and there.
They could have done it, but it was already dead, so they couldn't take it back.
Yeah, but he killed a wildling guy, and he would probably have been able to rise up from the dead again too.
Yes.
Maybe.
So
that's true. But the one thing though, it's very minor, but it's just something that really itches on my brain, is that when you see the polar bear, it's like really far away, and they're like sneaking up on it, and you can see it turns against them and start to run. And they're like, oh, run back, oh, blah, blah. And suddenly, it's right by his side on this side instead of back. It's like, I was thinking at first, oh my god, there's 2 polar bears chasing them like raptors, but no, it worked.
Yeah, I actually find that scene a bit weird too, but the thing is that there is a guy who kind of walks further from the rest of the group. That's the one who gets attacked by the polar bear, but I also find it weird that he's running in a straight line and suddenly the bear just comes from the side. And also the bear is really silent because it suddenly just jumps them. And as we do know, there's really quiet because when it snows, it's really quiet unless there's a lot of wind, and we can't hear any wind or anything. We just hear silence, and then suddenly the bear is right on top. So it's like, does this bear have like 100 points in stealth? Because this is weird.
Yeah, it was really.
Also, Avon says in the chat, I would have loved to see the walkers ice spiders from old Nan's stories. Yes, that would have been cool.
And also, one other thing with this polar bear that I find a bit annoying is that it costs so much for them to make these kind of animals, and the only reason we haven't seen Ghost, the direwolf of Jon Snow, so far is because it costs too much to
They just can't make it look right. The wolves are too small, or
they can't. It costs too much to animate it, and then they just decides to do a zombie bear in a scene that doesn't really matter.
The only thing it does is injure Thoros of Myr, so he can't go on resurrecting people. That's it.
I'm kind of thinking that they chose to put that scene in to make us, the audience, realize, oh shit, their Fire Lord priest almost died. Shit, you guys better watch out.
And also, it's foreshadowing what happens later, that we actually get to see that they can bring beasts back. It doesn't have to be human. And we sort of already know that because they have horses, but it sort of puts it in your face, so it doesn't get as a surprise what happens later.
Prepare for some crazy wildlife, is what they're saying.
But my point about this whole thing is that they have put a lot of time and effort in this bear, and I believe that this is the scene where the hound gets the focus because he is going to be important later. I believe so. Anyway, moving on. Next scene is with Littlefinger and Sansa, and I just want to point one thing out, because Sansa's hair is sort of the same style as Daenerys, not as elaborate as her hair, but it's sort of the same style. And as we know from the earlier seasons, is that the hairstyles change between the different parts of Westeros. And before, when Sansa was young, and she just got to King's Landing, she did her hair just like Cersei did hers. Now she does it almost the same way as Daenerys. So is that a coincidence, or does it mean something?
I don't know. I didn't really pay attention to her hair.
Maybe they have like a fashion magazine that they look like, oh my god, this hairdo. And she's gonna be the queen. I have to copy this so I can be the queen.
Because it was a point, they did talk a lot about the hair and how they styled it and how important it was, like in season 1 or something. So I was like, is this just like a fancy thing they do, or is it just the hairdressers that makes the wig who's like, this is a cool hairstyle, we'll just do this for this season? I don't know.
It could just be a coincidence. I mean, it also might just be because she's returned to the north and things are simpler up there.
No, it's not simple. It's more elaborate. She has like this weird braid thing on the back of her head. It's beautiful. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, I just wanted to point it out. But what do we think of the conversation between Littlefinger and Sansa? Because Sansa seems to put a lot of trust into Littlefinger.
Yeah, I think it's kind of because of Arya right now.
It might be.
Because now maybe Sansa feels like Arya is not her ally anymore. So she's leaning on Littlefinger.
I personally think she's pretending to lean on Littlefinger. I think she's keeping her enemies close. Because I don't remember if you've written this down in your thing. He recommends that he speaks to Brienne of Tarth and keeps her close, just in case Arya decides to try to kill her or something. And later on in the episode, what does Sansa do? She sends Brienne of Tarth away.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that later.
So personally, I think she's just, stringing him along, taking his good counsel for what it's worth, and then disregarding things that she doesn't believe is beneficial.
What if Littlefinger knows this and plays her so she sends Brienne away?
Well, it can go both ways.
Yeah.
You'll never know with these people, because Sansa has basically the last couple of years been under Littlefinger's teaching. He's been her teacher, so you never know with thrones. Anything can happen, really.
Yeah.
Both is possible. But what do we think Littlefinger is playing at here? We have talked a bit about it, but do we really think that he wants... I think that he wants Arya to kill Brienne, to get Brienne out of the way. I think that is what his goal here is.
I think he would be happy if either of them died, Arya or Brienne, maybe both. I think he just wants to get rid of people who are close to Sansa, so she's easier to control if she becomes isolated.
Yeah, that actually, I think so too, because I mean, he puts on pretend that he's like really supportive and, family is important, blah, blah, blah. I mean, but what if one of you, try to kill the other? What will Brienne do? Keep her close so that she will protect you. Exactly. And that she does the exact opposite because she's trying to read him that he wants to plot something. So she does the exact opposite, but then he's playing her to do the opposite of what he says, because I mean, if he is really her teacher, then he can be aware of that she's trying to play him, so he plays her to play him to be played.
Yeah, but I have a solution to the problem, which should be the obvious one. I don't understand why Sansa or Arya why don't they just go up to Bran and be like, hey Bran, what's the deal? What's happening here? Because Bran sees it all. He could just be like, yeah, Littlefinger is trying to fool you guys. And everything would have been solved. There wouldn't be any problem.
The question is, would Bran tell them?
Yeah. Would he now?
Well, if any of them are in danger, Bran certainly would have.
If he's still Bran.
If he's still Bran.
He's sort of Bran. He still has,
memories.
Well, yeah, but I mean, the old Bran would obviously have done it. I mean, he would have probably put his life on the line to help his sisters. But the Three-Eyed Raven has to think about, the whole picture and the big scheme of things.
Well, he sort of already have scrambled with that when he gave Arya the dagger, and I do believe that he gave it to her for a reason.
Yeah, me too. Avon says in the chat, when he only had Sansa, she was easy to control. Now that she has her pack, she grows independent, and he wants her to need his counsel.
Very true.
Yes, that's pretty much what we just discussed, that he wants her to be alone and vulnerable and easy to manipulate. And also, as Jeanette wrote to me on Facebook, he still wants to get in her skirt. I'm pretty sure.
I really like the pack thing because we have seen that from the trailers of the season, like the pack will survive. So yeah.
Ranadev says the two things Littlefinger consistently wants is Sansa and power. Sansa is showing hints that she might want power too. I'll be controversial and say I'm kind of rooting for Santyr. So Sansa and Tyrion? Or Sansa and Peter. I'm not sure what you meant.
Sansa and Peter. Well, they would have been an awesome, couple.
I mean, they would have been like a power couple if they decided to hook up.
It would. It's possible. Sansa is not very a good judge of character when it comes to men. She's not good at that.
No. Avon says Bran knows what's going to happen, so if something would happen, he would intervene. Since he does not, I'm pretty sure he knows it's going to be fine. That's a good point.
Let's hope so.
That's a good point.
I agree.
Ranadev says, I just want to watch the world burn, Sansa and Peter.
Are you sure that Tonya is the arch Slytherin?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
You're sounding like
We're
one.
competing for the throne, okay?
Yeah. You're frenemies.
Anyway, we have a lot to talk about, and I'm just going to move this on because it will take time. We have a lot of stuff. Beyond the Wall again, we see Jorah and Thoros talking about old times because it has never been clear in the series how Thoros of Myr and Jorah knows each other. And here we kind of get that settled, and I'm not going to go into that because it's like old times before Game of Thrones times, but they know each other. And what do we think of the trap that they do set up for the Whites? Because they meet a small group of White Walker. What do we think of the trap?
Oh, it was very simple.
Smart.
And stupid, because of course the rest will follow.
Well, they did expect the rest to come. They didn't expect a small group. That's why they're
I think maybe the small group were scouts, just sent out, to skirmish.
Yeah, and the one who did survive was like this screaming that was totally like a, calling scream.
Yeah, but I don't think that they got really that upset about this. I just think that they thought that a larger group would come.
Yeah.
This makes me think of, was this planned from the White Walkers' point of view? Did the White Walkers expect this to happen?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, you don't? Okay, I'm gonna blow your minds, but I'm not gonna do it.
No, but for me, I just think this was a random scouting party that they happened upon, and then they didn't expect the thing to scream. The scream alerted the rest of the army, and then they came like rumbling after the rest.
Oh, yeah, of course that happened. But I do think that the White Walkers were completely knowing of that this was supposed to go down and that this would happen.
That polar bear might have, set some alarm stuff.
Nope, that's not what I think. Okay, I'm just gonna tell it now. I'm not gonna save it for later because it's more fitting later. But I'm gonna say it now, and I'm thinking that since the Night King can see Bran when Bran's warging, the Night King is probably a warg too, and he's probably the same kind of powers as Bran has, who can both see like the past, the future, and everything in between. So I think that they did this. Oh no, I think I am right on this one because
I really hope you're wrong.
How else could the Night King intervene with Bran's visions or when Bran is warging? How else could he do that?
We could just sense his presence, but I mean, he might be a warg. It's quite possible.
And the White Walkers, they have this sort of hive mind, it seems, because when when it screams, it alerts everyone else. And also when we see Jon, taking down the main guy, everyone else falls down and dies. So that says to me that it's sort of a hive mind going on, that the leader kind of controls the pack, and what I'm trying to say here.
Yeah. It's a good theory.
Yeah, I think you do have something on the hive mind theory, and that's why I thought polar bear, because it's undead.
Yeah. Probably. They knew they were coming, but they needed the White Walker for some reason. HBO has actually posted a video of how they made this scene and how they made the ice lake and all this stuff that you get to see, which is quite awesome and quite amazing, actually. Some of it is played in Iceland, and all of the shots you see is real glaciers, is real nature, and it's nothing that's manipulated. Of course, some of the sets are built sets with green screens and stuff, but all of the nature shots are real, which is pretty amazing, actually.
Yeah, that's very cool. You should put that up on our Facebook page so people can find it.
I can try to find it again.
Yeah.
What? What were you supposed to say?
Oh, no. Okay. Well, anyway, the whole thing when they run away from the army after it comes to them and the ice starts cracking and everything, and all of the White Walkers start falling into the water. Do they sink?
Very fast here.
Yeah, but I mean, your notes are kind of moving very fast too, because you just were at the HBO video, and then Gendry gets to the wall. And that's after they've,
Yeah, I know. I just passed that because we were talking a bit further than I thought.
Yeah.
But yeah. But what do we think of how Gendry kind of when they run away from the walkers? What do we think of that?
I think that Gendry was very, or the whole party was surprisingly close to the wall.
Yeah.
I would have thought they were further away, personally. So this is one of the other plot holes that and issues that I have with this episode, is how close to the wall is this undead army, and what the fuck is up with Gendry's stamina? Like, wow, seriously.
Probably. He is the fastest, as John says. But one thing that I want to point out is that, because in the preview of this episode, you can clearly see the Hound fighting with Gendry's weapon, and a lot of people has been like, okay, what's happening with Gendry? And this is a clever move from HBO, because what you don't see is that Gendry is the one getting help. It's like, you don't need your weapon on your own. I'm like, well played on that trailer. Well played, HBO.
Yeah. Avon wants to know, why did they not keep breaking the ice? Good question. I was wondering the same thing.
Yeah. And also I was thinking, since it was night, because they were there through the night, it's always colder at nighttime.
Yeah.
And how do they dare to actually sit down and
chill
on that island? Because no.
And I mean, just also the patience of this undead army to just stand around and wait when, the ice would probably refreeze really fast, because, newsflash, it does. In winter, it refreezes really fast. It just doesn't make any sense for that whole fucking army to stand there for hours through the night waiting for the ice to refreeze, because clearly it wouldn't take that long.
Yeah.
Maybe they were like waiting for them to, besides being just, awe-inspiring and really, really frightening by sheer numbers and,
yeah, I mean, they could be toying with them, but
they I guess they knew that these humans would actually freeze to death, and then some of them would just wake up and start killing.
No, that's not what I think.
I don't think that's the thing either.
The thing is, I'm just gonna jump a bit ahead because it's related to this, and this also related with the thing that why I think the Night King is a warg, and that is because when all the White Walkers come running to get to our A team, they run really, really fast. It's scary how fast they run. They even run faster than John and them. They get on this island and they get surrounded right before the ice starts to crack. They get surrounded. And when the White Walkers are just standing there watching, they don't do anything before the Hound kind of provokes them. And when the big fight kind of flashes out, they don't run as they did before.
No.
They just move really slowly. and it's not they don't even it's like they don't even try. So I'm actually thinking that the Night King is stalling because he knows what's going to happen.
Maybe.
He wants that dragon.
It's quite possible that it was all just part of his evil plan.
Oh yeah.
I get what you're saying there. I mean, he wasn't only planning for one dragon though.
No, he wanted more.
Oh, he wanted them all.
Oh yeah. And before we talk about the fight, we have to just address that Thoros is dead.
Yes, he froze to death during the night.
And what do we think? How will Beric use his last life? Because he doesn't have his priest anymore.
No, I think he will go down fighting. He'll keep going.
That's for sure. And he was kind of spontaneously planning on just charging the Night King.
Yeah. I mean, because he wants to die. He's tired. I think the next time he dies, he will be happy it's his last time to die.
But the thing is, in the books, when Thoros of Myr dies, Beric uses his last life to resurrect Catelyn Stark. And we get to see, Lady Stoneheart.
God, quite nice.
But I don't think he's gonna raise Catelyn. I think he's gonna raise someone else. But the question is who.
If he was going to raise Catelyn, it would already have happened several seasons ago.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. But in the books, he raises her with his last life. So that probably means that he's going to use his last life to resurrect someone else.
Maybe that's possible. If he can resurrect anyone at all.
I don't know. It's just based on what happens in the books.
Also, Jeanette mentioned recently a thing she has a problem with that I also have a problem with. It's how fucking fast are those ravens?
Yeah.
Because seriously, it does not take one night or half a day to get to Dragonstone. But
I think we have noticed that time isn't really an issue in this season, so you shouldn't really get...
No, the thing is, I still love this episode. I think it's a fantastically entertaining episode. I was screaming, I was hugging my pillow, I was hitting my husband. I was very, very, manipulating things during this episode. But I just there are certain things that I feel like need to be addressed. Just there are major plot problems, but I don't fucking care because it was awesome anyway. But it still has to be mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, they say ravens, but it's like more like the internet.
Yeah. It's kind of like, I'm just going to pop an email to Daenerys. There you go.
Yeah, it's like an app on their phone that called Ravens.
Yeah. Well, that should totally be a thing! A messenger app called Raven.
We have Twitter.
Yeah.
Anyway, the next thing that happens is that Jorah and Jon, they talk about, tactics.
Yeah.
Dany is our only hope, and that's when we kind of get to know that, okay, Daenerys is probably coming with the dragons. If it wasn't any clearer, it suddenly was clear now.
Yeah.
And Barrick's like, no, she is not. We can kill him. Did we believe that it would take a turn and they would suddenly just go over the ice and kill the Night King?
No, never. Jon is not that stupid, seriously. He might be rash and impulsive and too noble for his own good, but he is not that stupid. But Avon says that he has the same issue with Euron's 1,000 ships that just appeared out of nothing. Yes.
Well, we never saw it was 1,000 ships. We just saw his ship, and we knew that there were some ships in the distance, like, attacking the other ships.
They were implied, because he's been bragging about his army of 1,000 ships.
Isn't Euron's ship called Silence?
Yes.
So, and also there's this theory out there that Euron is a wizard.
Yes, so. There is. He's a wizard or a warlock or something, and he's cut the tongues out of everyone in his crew so they can't talk about the fact that he's a warlock or a wizard or whatever.
No, they have sworn the oath of silence.
Either way, they're quiet.
Yeah, it's this weird thing that I'm not gonna go into.
Yeah,
right.
No, let's keep moving.
And also there's this part where they talk. We have like it's Beric and John and the Hound and Jorah standing on a line, and Tormund standing on a line, just talking and looking at the Night King. Where they talk about like how could we kill him, and Beric says something like, "Oh, the Lord of Light hasn't brought us back just for us to freeze to death or to watch us freeze to death." And then the Hound, which also makes me think that he is the Azor Ahai, he has a comment where he says, all I've ever met has been a cunt. Don't see why the Lord of Light should have been any different." Because this is kind of this pessimistic thing that you say and then it changes, you know? Cause
it's like, he's
going
to be proved wrong at some point.
Yeah.
Yes, probably.
And this is also like one of the million times in this episode the Hound has been put on the spot to be important of some reason, and this is also why.
Also, it has to be said that he's the one who instigated the fight by throwing rocks.
Yeah, which comes later, because it's not yet.
Not yet.
But yeah. This was really stupid of him. Mm-hmm. And also, one thing, if the White Walkers wanted all of the people on that island dead, they would have used bows and arrows a long time ago. Or spears. Anyway, then we have a scene with Sansa, who receives a scroll with the invitation from King's Landing.
Yeah.
Why do Sansa and Brienne? Why do Sansa want Brienne to go to King's Landing?
Yeah, that's kind of what we talked about, because that Littlefinger advised her to keep Brienne close.
Yeah, I think she's sending her away so that Littlefinger can't manipulate her further. But also, I think she's sending Brienne because she knows that Brienne is loyal to a fault. She won't betray her. And also, she's sending her because Sansa is never, ever, ever going to set her foot in King's Landing as long as Cersei is alive. It's just not going to happen.
I was thinking about something. Maybe because Littlefinger wants Sansa to keep Brienne close so that Brienne can kill Arya if, Sansa feels threatened.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why Sansa sends Brienne away, so that won't happen. No matter how much Arya threatens Sansa's life, because she don't want Sansa killed.
Exactly, but that's why she sends her away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's to protect herself and Arya from being, manipulated.
Yep. But what do we think will happen after Brienne leaves?
Oh, Littlefinger.
I really hope it all like implodes on himself. That Arya and Sansa will, get together and realize that it was all something that Littlefinger did, and that he will pay for it. I hope so.
Yeah, me too. Or maybe they will go like, when he thinks that they are in like this room fighting and arguing, throwing stuff into the wall, making a lot of ruckus, and then silence, and then Littlefinger is standing outside, listening, and he comes in, and they're like, surprise! Yeah, now you're gonna die.
Yeah, I just hope that when Littlefinger dies, it will be bloody and gory and marvelous.
Yeah.
Arterial spray!
All over the place. Back to the frozen lake, though, and we got the Hound being bored and doing some really stupid stuff with the rocks. For one thing, he's really good at throwing rocks, because the first one he throws it, he should be like in the Olympics, because he can throw that shit very far.
Yeah, he knocked a jaw off. So.
Did you skip something now?
What?
You Dragonstone. You skipped Dragonstone.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just scrolled a bit too far.
Yeah.
It's okay.
That's fine. Thank you for being there and keeping track on it.
Yeah, I'm keeping track of everything here.
Yeah.
But we have Dragonstone with Tyrion trying to keep Dany from leaving, because she has received the Raven. And what is going through Tyrion's head here? Because he clearly doesn't want her to leave.
Oh, it's too big of a risk. I mean, he did not like it when she did it the last time. He's still not going to like it. I mean, she's basically taking herself and 3 dragons beyond the wall to the Night Walkers, which he now believes is a real threat. He doesn't see it panning out positive in any kind of way.
No.
I don't think.
And I think he's sort of afraid to be left alone, and also he's afraid to, because of the discussion him and Varys had earlier about not letting her be too impulsive, and that she has to be there to make her listen. And
don't let her.
And I think it's frustrating being Tyrion these days.
I think so.
And one thing I have a problem with: why did Dany leave? Because in my mind, there was absolutely no reason for her to be like, oh my god, I get a raven from Jon Snow, which I barely know. I'm gonna take all my babies, which I love, and I'm gonna visit the army of the dead with my babies that I love. I'm gonna save this man that I don't really know. Like, why?
Yeah, because she's all lovey-dovey with him, and because she doesn't really see this White Walker thing as a real threat.
No, I mean, partially, I don't think she 100% believed in the White Walker threat to begin with. She needed that trip to realize how bad it was, sure.
Why did she then leave?
But she left not only because of Jon Snow, and because he's the king in the north, and because she wants an alliance, because she has lost big parts of her army, we have to remember. Because of Euron, and because of Casterly Rock, she is thin on allies. She needs the north. So that's one of the reasons, in my opinion. Also, Jorah is there. Her beloved Jorah. Her Mr. Friendzone, her good pal, who she just got back from the dead.
She has never done anything for him.
No,
ever.
but I think that's part of it too. I think she is just tired of seeing people she cares about die and perish without doing anything or being able to do anything.
Yeah, didn't you say something like that? I'm done with doing nothing.
Yeah. I did that once. I'm never doing it again.
Yeah.
So, yeah, she's tired of sitting around waiting for things to happen or hoping that things will sort themselves out. She needs to act because she can't stand just sitting still anymore.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also Dany's new coat.
Honestly, I hate it. I think it's so ugly. I hate it. I hate that coat.
Well, I'm not a very big fan of fur, but I think it's nice to see her in a winter's coat, because you would have expected her to wear something like that when she leaves for the north. You wouldn't see her in wildling clothes, because she is too fancy for that.
Yeah, she's a queen.
Yeah, so I wouldn't really expected her to wear anything else than that. But it's like the first time we see her in something white as that in this season, because she's been very dark so far and used a lot of blacks and grays and browns.
Honestly, I think it's just so it would be easier for us to see her sitting on that dragon. Partially. It could have just been an aesthetic choice.
But it's a nice aesthetic, because she's like the white queen, and this kind of emphasizes that a lot. She looks like ice.
Yeah.
Which is kind of weird, because really she is fire.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Gotta keep warm.
Gotta keep warm. It's a fur coat after all, and she's going somewhere very cold.
She is. Alright, then we see her leave, and then it's back to the frozen lake, where the Hound does really something stupid that he shouldn't have done, and he's the master of Olympics, and so on, and so on, and so on. And then, fight-o! Yes. What do we think of this fight scene? I've already said that I find it too slow, and that is weird, because the White Walkers can run really fast, and they are surrounded by thousands.
I think they did it on purpose so that it wouldn't be over too soon.
Yeah, they needed to stall for time.
Yeah, they did have to stop. If they were rushing them, that would be, Game of Thrones over.
No, but there has to be a reason for that, and that's why I think the Night King is actually waiting for the dragon.
Yeah, sure, but also for our viewers, that if the White Walkers just pummeled them, then it would be the end of the season.
Maybe they did that with Euron and the Greyjoy ship. They just pummeled over the thing.
Yeah. But I mean, that wasn't as important as this was, I think, because they're...
No, but they do set the reason. They do set like some sort of rules here that they don't ever do anything just for the effect of it. They have a reason for everything. They never do anything for the fuck's sake of it. Okay, except for the polar bear, because in one scene that you can see that HBO have put out with the makers of it, one of the writers has always wanted a polar bear.
And that's why.
And that's why there's a polar bear there.
Okay, that's not a good enough of a reason, but okay.
Well,
I will say that I agree with you. I think that the Night King was stretching it out because he wanted a dragon.
Yeah,
I'm agreeing with you very much on that. You've written Thormund ! In the paper, and I agree. Yep. I mean, I've never been like a huge Thormund fan, but I like him. I've always liked him as a character, but he's not been like one of my faves, of all time. But when I thought he was about to die, I was seriously clutching my pillow and not screaming, but squeaming like, "Oh no, not Thormund! No! What are they doing?"
See? It was so horrible.
It was so bad. I was freaking out. So bad.
The last time they made a scene like that was when Oberyn died.
Yeah. Because
they stretched it out.
Or when Jon Snow nearly died at the Battle of the Bastards towards the end.
It wasn't as heartfelt because it's special because it was so raw.
Yeah.
It was so much blood and it was so right on, and those screams that Tormund gave, they were horrifying.
Yeah. I mean, praises to Christopher Hivju for doing a really good job in that scene.
At dying.
Yeah. Seriously.
Or at, showing fears of dying.
Yeah. Good job, man. Good job.
Maybe they were actually dragging him into ice cold lake. It was like, no, I don't want to be.
Yes, but you can see how they made it. So they used cold water.
Stress pulse so much throughout that entire thing.
Oh, poor Cecilia.
Cici, you have to be awake.
Yeah. We did post on Facebook and on Instagram, sweetie.
Yeah. I didn't really want Thormund to die, and they did fool me a bit. But when he was saved by the Hound again, bringing up the Hound again, I was like, yes, oh my god, yes. Because I was predicting that Thormund would.
Yeah, I thought he would totally die too from that moment when they decided to go beyond the wall again. I like, oh no, Thormund's gonna die.
And especially since they earlier in the episode was putting out there being all happy about the future with Brienne, and he said that he's good at killing people and stuff like that. Yeah. So I was like, no, don't take him from us.
No. Glorious Ginger.
And I just want to point one other thing out, is that it's very, very uncharacteristic of Thrones to only kill off the characters that we don't care about, because every set of random wildling they brought with them died. None of the important ones except for Thoros of Myr, which was one of the only characters that I was like, no, he's probably not gonna die. I almost told that everyone else was gonna die except for Thoros, because he's the only one who can bring people back from the dead, so they're probably not gonna kill him. And what did they do? Kept everyone else alive and killed Thoros.
Yeah, so they've lost the resurrection wizard, basically.
Yes.
All right. So we've gotten to the point where they're completely surrounded, and then Jon freezes, and then bam, dragon and fire. Yeah. And I literally sat in the sofa with my pillow, and I lifted it over my head, and I went, yes, dragon!
Really? I was like, oh no, they're here.
It was so
I don't think that this dragon fight was as impactful as the last one, because the last one was much more easy, cooler, even though we knew that they had the Qyburn's scorpion, which didn't really do anything. But I was so much more scared at that episode when they only had one dragon with them. This time when they had three, I was like, meh.
I was scared for the dragons.
Yeah, I was scared for the dragons too. I mean, the thing is, I knew the dragons were coming because that was the only way they were going to resolve this scene in any way that could bring the show forward.
And also, we predicted it last time.
We predicted it last time too. So, I mean, we completely saw it coming, but it was still so good when it finally happened. I'm just so happy about Dragonfire and Beyond the Wall.
Yeah,
And,
I was...
yeah, go on.
I was like, you know, when the dragons breathed fire on the White Walkers and on that, I was like, yeah, dragon fire.
And they have put a lot of time and effort in making that effect. They have so much stuff. So I'm gonna link to that video that I saw about how they made this fight happen, because they have put a lot of time and effort in it.
Cece says, yeah, I thought this episode was pretty predictable for this show, except that it wasn't, because I thought it was going to be unpredictable and kill main characters.
Exactly, I feel the same thing.
Yeah.
I think that they kind of made it unpredictable because it was so predictable and so straightforward. And that's kind of cool, because we've never seen like a next 2-season finale be so boring. Not boring in that way, but, you know, like
Predictable.
Storybook.
Yeah.
And I've written down time skipping, but we have addressed that several times, so we're not going to talk more about time skipping. And when Dany kind of lands her dragon, she reaches for Jon first. She lands next to Jon and is like, Jon, you're the most important person here, come on, you. And he's like, nope. And he goes out of fighting some...
It was so annoying. I hate Jon for doing that. It's all his fault.
Why?
No,
Why
I mean...
His fighting led him to stay longer. That led to the Night King killing the Syrian.
Well,
But-
I think he would have tried to kill them anyway. I think that Jon turning around, not taking her hand, was a decision he made based on the fact that he wanted to make sure that everyone else got on the dragon first. So he was looking out for his people again.
Fish at all. And I think that Dany is kind of learning from him, because Dany would have saved herself. She would have flown away from there, because she's concerned of being queen and important. And Jon, he's like, I don't care. I'm just in this situation because I deserve it. And yeah, I'm gonna fight for it still. Always.
Meh. I think he was like, oh yeah, the dragons are here. Let's kill some White Walkers. Let's end this now.
No, that is not the feeling I got at all.
That's what I got. And I'm so mad at Jon for, you know, going all heroic mode, killing White Walkers, when he doesn't have to kill one White Walker to get to the Night King. He has to get the fuck out of there.
I had the same feeling as Anita. I just felt that he wanted to make sure that everyone else was safe before himself got on the dragon, because he is the commander and he is the boss. Yeah. And it's the boss's responsibility to make sure that all his employees are doing what they're supposed to do. You're not...
Yeah, that would be all fine, except he was still hacking undeads while all of them were waiting for him to get on.
Yeah, but I mean, when you're in the midst of a fight, I don't think it's very easy to like, okay, so is everyone fine? Is everyone on the dragon now? Can we leave? Okay, let's go. I mean, it's kind of chaotic, so...
And everything just happened at once, too, because as people got on the dragon, that's when Viserion got, hit by the spear. And as that happened, thing got a bit more chaotic. And you can see that the Night King is preparing another spear, and Dany has to make a choice. Wait for Jon or leave 2 of her dragons alive. And... she leaves, and Jon, he falls into the freezing water with 2.
Yeah. Okay, so here's one of the other things that I have an issue with in this episode, is that there are 2 flying dragons flying around in movement, harder targets to hit. There is 1 stationary dragon in the middle of the lake that is close to the Night King that he could have thrown a spear at, effectively stranding all of his enemies on that lake. But he throws it at a flying dragon that is carrying no one.
But he might, if this is something that is planned out, he probably has a plan for this in the future. I don't know. But it can also be that he takes the hardest one first and then concentrating on the easiest one later. Because if he had taken Drogon first, the other two who is flying in the air would have escaped at once.
Yeah, but then Daenerys and Jon and everyone else would have been stranded. They would have been stuck.
He don't care. He just wanted more dragons. It's like when he takes one of the flying ones, that's easier, and he has that one. The odds are that he would probably then hit, the one who's just sitting there.
No, I have an issue with that, and you're allowed to have your opinion.
No, but that's the only way he could have had 2 dragons.
Yeah, but I mean, like, if you're gonna go with a target, go for the easy target and then maybe do the other ones afterwards, because they might have just decided, oh fuck, he killed our brother, let's attack him.
I don't think so.
Let's kill him. Just, to me, it seems like a weird choice, strategically, because if you could get rid of the 2 people who are responsible of leading an army against you...
But he probably doesn't see them as any, thing.
I would think he does. But
who knows?
Avon agrees, at least. And Cecilia says, Sunniva, your pin! Yes, it's a beautiful pin.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yes. I has one too. I just don't have a pretty shirt to wear it on right now.
Well, I just took it on the shirt that I have. Just to have it on. Yeah. Anyway, how did we feel about Viserion dying?
I was upset. I was legitimately upset about it. But I knew that it had to happen.
Yeah, I was kind of prepared for it too. But my boyfriend now, however, he was so mad. Oh my god, he hates Game of Thrones now. Aww. Because it was too predictable.
It was. It has been predicted that it would be an ice dragon since like season 1 or 2 or something.
Yeah. So.
But I to be honest, I wasn't as upset as I thought I would have been. If Drogon had died at the Spoils of War episode, I would have legitimately been upset. But this time, I really wasn't.
No, I mean, I could have been more upset, but because I was prepared, I was a medium of upset. I knew it was going to happen.
I was more upset when Bron's horse died.
I was not. No, but the thing is with the whole ice dragon thing, and getting upset about it, it's like, is there a point to get upset about something you know is coming anyway? And the death of the dragon, I feel, is a way to keep it exciting. Because, okay, now Daenerys only has 2 dragons, and the Nightwalkers have an ice dragon. So, it just, it keeps the weight, the scales unstable. Like, you have no idea where this is gonna go, in the end.
I'm kind of concerned, because, I mean, did you see how easy the Night King killed one dragon with one spear? I mean, wow, shit, that's overpowered.
That's why I'm saying that he takes the hardest targets first, because he's a good thrower, And
luckily he missed Drogon, but
no, I don't think he would have missed either way. But I mean, I think this just goes to show how dangerous the White Walkers are, and the Night King especially. And that we should not feel safe about any characters surviving in the end.
Exactly.
Frostfire.
But there are this theory out there that the White Walkers are really the nice guys in the Game of Thrones, because all the people do is scheming, killing each other, being mean to each other, rape each other, stealing again, and all that stuff. So there's a theory out there that the White Walkers are really the nice people.
Yeah, they have a really good socioeconomic,
Oh,
system.
you know what? I later I will talk a little bit about some theories I've read on the internet about White Walkers and stuff.
Cool. Yeah, but let's move on with this, because there's still some stuff that happens.
There's still stuff.
When Daenerys escapes, they leave John, and John falls into the freezing water. And I don't know if you noticed, but this might be, I don't know what this means, but it might mean something. When John reaches out of the water and grabs his sword, the eye of the pommel of the wolf blinks.
Yeah. Some people have said that it's just water that's running across the gemstone, making it do that, and others are like, no, it's a sign.
Yeah, there's a cool effect either way.
Yeah, someone think it's a sign that it's Bran warping into his sword. It's like,
No.
But it might be, because if John is the Azor Ahai wields a sword which contains the spirit of his love.
Yeah, but that would not be Bran.
No, but it can be just huge, since Bran is can be anything. Really.
I mean, someone thinks that this is kind of maybe just to, shake things up to make people plot.
Yeah.
I think it was just a nice detail.
Yeah.
And
I don't think it has any meaning whatsoever at all.
But then again, John in the freezing water gets up.
Yeah.
And he is able to walk. He's able to survive, and he's able to, get along a bit. And how? Because I have an interesting theory here, because we have all seen that Daenerys, she can survive flames.
Yeah.
What if John just survives ice?
Yeah, it's possible. It makes sense.
And he is part undead.
Yeah, it's partially undead. But I mean, it could also be that he can also withstand... Well, he can't really withstand fire. That's not true, because he burned his hand when he saved the Night Commander. So...
but it might
maybe just that was just
directed.
But that could also But did he burn his hand up, or was it just a reaction?
He burned it. He actually had to wear a special glove afterwards and stuff.
Okay, because if he didn't really burn and just be a natural reaction to fire.
No, it's detailed in the books. He legitimately burns his hand, so he's not impervious to fire.
Then my theory is dead.
Yep.
But the thing is, because George R.R. Martin have stated that this is where the fire and ice thing comes in, and I'm kind of thinking that John might actually be ice.
Yeah.
And
I agree.
Not the Night King. And there's something like if John is the Azor Ahai, because there's also a theory of him being the Azor Ahai. If John is the hero and he kills the Night, he has to sacrifice himself or something to kill the Night King. And since John is sort of a White Walker-ish, or becoming one, or I don't know, resurrected by the Lord of Light. I don't really know, but if he is part Night King-ish race, I don't know. Maybe he then is, after he kills the Night King, maybe John has to take over and lead the White Walker army back and have to contain them for the rest of eternity or something.
Yeah, there are many possibilities.
All right.
Right, so he comes out of the water. He moves along very sluggishly and slowly, like one might expect. I mean, me personally, I would not be walking after that particular incident.
I wouldn't even gotten out of the hole.
Yeah. And he prepares to defend himself, but we know, that's not going to happen. And then suddenly we see fire in the ranks of the undead and a horse. And I was all like, what the fuck? Oh, I know who this is.
Yeah, I predicted Benjen last time. So I knew it was him. But I was like, Benjen, finally.
Yeah.
Here you are.
Where did you go? So I think we can be assured that Benjen Stark is now dead.
I don't think we will see him anymore. But the series has done this for a few characters. I think they did this with Mira Reed. They just said that she had to go home and we're probably not going to see her later. And
Yeah.
did this with Arya's wolf, only that I think we're going to see Nymeria later. But they have kind of ended different stories with people. So I think we're not going to see Benjen ever again.
No. I think though that we might see the wolf pack again, like
Oh,
because
yeah.
Nymeria has like this super pack, like this huge pack that she's supposed to be leading. So that's
Yeah,
gonna come into
Benjen
play
was
at some
wasted
point.
on that.
Yeah, I did say that though.
Yeah.
I agree with Eivind.
Benjen was wasted on that moment. Yeah. Maybe.
But Benjen has always, taken care of Jon. He's
Yeah.
done that ever since season 1.
That's true.
So
Yeah, but he didn't have to die. He could get on the horse and ride away with Jon.
yeah, but Jon was like, "Come with me." And he's like, "There's no time." Yeah.
Yeah. Now Benjen chose to sacrifice himself, and I mean, he's half dead / undead himself to begin with, so I don't think he has that much life left in him anyway.
No, I don't think so either.
Wait.
Then we're at the wall, and we can see people getting ready to leave. There's Thormund and the Hound by the shores, and the Hound is putting the White Walker they captured in the boat and getting ready to leave. And Beric says, "We'll meet again, Clegane." What do we think about this? Because I find this a bit interesting, since Beric is a worshipper of the Lord of Light. The Azor Ahai is a Lord of Light kind of theory. So I think that Barry knows something about the Hound that we don't know yet.
That's possible, absolutely. Because I mean, Beric is staying by Eastwatch by the Sea to fight.
It seems so, at least.
Yeah, it seems like it. But it can't. We can't be certain. But we'll meet again. It seems like it has some deeper meaning, considering that the world is facing doom and eternal night. So seeing each other again is very unlikely unless you have a card up your sleeve.
Yeah, and also Beric staying there. And if it is like in the books that he uses his last life to resurrect someone else, who could it be possible that something like this will happen at Eastwatch by the Sea?
Maybe. It depends on who stays behind or who arrives at Eastwatch by the Sea to fight.
I guess Tormund. That's my only kind of.
It's the only one I know.
Yeah, if they're gonna pay any attention up there, I don't know if they're gonna, but they probably.
I don't know where Gendry is going to go because we haven't seen him since he passed out after bringing his message.
No. Maybe he's dead. No.
Maybe.
I don't think so.
I doubt it. He's not dead. I don't know if he's staying by Eastwatch or if he's going back south again with the others.
I don't really think it matters because Gendry is not really significant for the story.
At least not at this point. Not at this point.
Then we see Jorah and Dany. They're standing on the top of the wall just scouting for Jon. And Jorah's like, "Can we leave soon?" And Dany's like, "No, we have to wait a little longer." I'm like, ugh, bleh, bleh. And yeah, that's how I feel about it.
I did not have those feelings just because I kind of want to see the Dany Jon thing happen anyway. And I've been like, for years I've been thinking, yeah, they're totally gonna hook up at some point. So for me, it's kind of like, it was meant to be anyway.
I just find it a bit fast. It happened too fast, and I find like her affection for him is a bit illogical to me because they haven't known each other that long. I
agree. That romance is really rushed, but we also have to consider that Jon has been at Dragonstone for a really long time. If we consider all the time skipping that has been happening throughout this entire season, he's been there for months.
He has never shown like his lighter side to Dany. He's always been like, "Oh, the White Walkers, they're real. We have to prepare for the fight."
No, but I mean, he showed her the cave paintings and all of that jazz, and he's been showing her that he has like high moral character and, that he's noble and self-sacrificing and all of that jazz, and it's a lot of those characteristics that Daenerys values very highly.
Yeah, true.
Oh, and one thing more, just to, point it out, he did pet Drogon.
And he is a secret Targaryen, which kind of she probably just smells it. Her body just feels it, even though her mind doesn't know it yet.
To like pheromones, something.
Yeah, it's like musk, Targaryen musk.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe it's just destiny, you know. Maybe they don't even have a say. Maybe it's just meant to happen.
Probably. Moving on, they're on the boat, and we can definitely see Jon is frozen. They have to cut his clothes off because they are stiff as fuck. And this is also why I believe that Jon can handle the cold. He's resistant to it because no one would have survived that. No one.
No.
And also, he doesn't have a beating heart, so he doesn't need like his blood to flow around. So maybe he's just, you know, bit more.
I think it beats once you've been reanimated. I don't think his heart is dead.
No. George R.R. Martin has confirmed that his heart does not beat.
Okay. Good to know.
Yep. So, but also Dany gets to see all his scars.
Yeah, and now she gets to know the fact that taking a knife to the heart was a real thing that happened because she sees that scar.
And I think that this sort of is a deal, not a deal breaker, but you know, this is what seals the deal for her.
Yeah. I think so too.
Then we are back at Winterfell again, and it's Sansa sneaking into Arya's room trying to look for clues or whatever. What do we think of this scene?
I think she's trying to get that note back so she can burn it or destroy it or whatever. Because she doesn't want the other lords at Winterfell to see that note.
True. And I also think it's nice that Arya actually has a bag of faces, that she has physical faces. That fact I find really nice.
Yeah, it was a good detail. And they kind of have a show off again, Arya and Sansa, when Arya walks into the room and finds her there.
This show off I find really strange.
Yeah.
I don't believe it one bit. I just find it awkward and strange.
Because, I mean, why would Arya threaten her sister? And, like, the last one who asked didn't like the answer. Are you sure you want to know? Fine. I can become anyone I want. I just need to put on other people's faces, and I get to know their lives and everything. And all I need to get to know what you really think is your face, bitch. So I'll cut you if you don't behave or whatever. That's pretty much what I took that to mean.
But then she gives Sansa the dagger and leaves.
Yeah.
So it's weird. But I think that Arya is really good at spotting liars, and she can't read Sansa because Sansa is so good at hiding every emotion that she can't read her. And Arya's doing everything she can to make Sansa crack, and she can't do it. And she doesn't understand why, so she just has to push everything that she has and use every trick she to try to get Sansa out of the edge.
You might be right. Absolutely. Because, I mean, giving Sansa the knife to me tells her that I have this power. I could do it, but I choose not to.
Exactly.
That's pretty much what it says to me.
It does. It's very much tension, and this is the last thing we get to see of them this episode, so I'm guessing that we're going to have the real showdown in the season finale, or at least I'm hoping for it. And I think that Littlefinger will pay.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I hope so. Then we're back at the boat.
Yep.
Dany sits by Jon's side until he wakes up, which is sort of weird also, but you know, we know that Dany has a soft spot for Jon now. And they have a really nice conversation, sort of.
Yeah.
And Dany says something like, "The dragons are my children. The only ones I'll ever have. Do you understand?" Do we understand what she means? Because I'm like, do you just tell Jon that you can't have children? Or do you just tell him that I care for my children, so please, I don't want any more of them to die? Because I
think it's a little bit of both, because Daenerys can't have any children. She's infertile.
I don't know that.
Well, that's what's been said. She can't have children unless something, because there is a prophecy that Miri Mazdur told her when she tried to save Khal Drogo. Your womb will find life when the sun sets in the something. I don't remember the wording of it, but it is implied that she is barren and can't have children.
She doesn't believe it herself, at least, but I think that she might actually have.
Yeah, I think it's possible for sure. I just think it needs to be like to fulfill the prophecy for it to happen or something like that. So she firmly believes that the dragons are the only children she'll ever have, but that might not be true.
I think we might see a Dany pregnancy next season.
It's possible, I think.
A Dany Jon Snow thing. And then Jon Snow says the most cringe thing ever. He's like, "Thank you, Dany." I'm like, ugh.
And she goes, the last person who called me that is not someone's company you want to be in. Okay, so not Dany then.
Yeah, but the thing is, because one thing before we go to the thing that Jon says after that is that, because Dany's like, no, my brother Viserys, is that what he's supposed to call? He called me that, and no, you don't want to. And Viserion, the dragon that is dead, called up after the brother was the dragon that died, and I'm like, that's your least favorite child. That's why you're not, crying your eyes out.
Yeah,
right
that's
now.
Totally why. He was my least favorite. I don't care. No, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, it was very soppy and romantic and cheesy, the whole scene, but I had no problems just standing in it, just because I am a bit of a romantic at heart anyway, so I could take it.
Yeah, no, because he was like, thank you, Dany, and she's like, no, don't call me that. He's like, okay, not Dany. How about my queen?
Yeah.
I would bend the knee, but I can't. That's
I mean, it was very, very on the nose, very typical love declaration kind of, oh, we're supposed to have an intimate moment now type of thing. And yes, I it was very cheesy, but I did not have the whole reaction like you did. I was like, ooh, this is a bit awkward. Okay, I can take it. It's cool.
Yeah, I can take. I find it nice. I found the thing between them nice, but it was just like,
it was a little bit much.
So much lines were delivered. It was.
It was a bit much. It was laying
so
it on thick.
But I think they did that on purpose because they want people to cringe. They want to get reactions.
I mean, they're basically, spoon feeding us. This is gonna be a romance.
You've been asking for this, so here it is.
Here you go.
Yeah. You've been asking for this. This is your fault.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a little bit like that.
All right, let's move into the last scene, which is Beyond the Wall, and Viserion is dead, and he get resurrected.
Yeah.
First of all, I think what we've talked about, I think that the Night King did this on purpose, that he wanted to bring him back to purpose, and they had the chains ready to get that dragon up. So this also kind of confirms to me, at least, that the Night King was fully onto what was going to happen from the get-go. Because they don't carry chains like that with them.
No, that was one of the first things I literally asked when that scene started. I asked my hubby, where did they get those chains, you think?
Probably Hardhome, because they had boats there, but they would still have to carry all those chains.
Yeah, that's a whole lot of chain to just, bring along just in case you need it.
Yep. So that's also why I think the Night King knew what was gonna happen.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But what did we think, though, when the dragon opened its eye?
It was so cool.
It was amazing.
It was amazing. Chills.
I kind of cheered a bit for the Night King. Just slightly, because I was like, yes! Ice Dragon! Yes!
Yes! I wasn't cheering necessarily, but it was a very cool moment. Absolutely.
Yeah. Also, Owen is saying that the chains could have been, time skipped in, and true, because the time skipping is, you can't trust anything in Game of Thrones when it comes to time anymore.
No.
everyone is a Time Lord, and you have no idea.
It's relative. Everything is relative.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my thought was like, I called it, and second thought was, oh my god, he's Lich King.
Yes. He's the Lich King.
Yep.
But we
haven't
kind of
played
have to like give you cred for this though, because you talked about this in one of our earlier episodes that there will be some dragon resurrection. Granted, we were talking about the dragon skulls in King's Landing, and we were saying, I don't think that's necessarily going to happen. But you did call dragon raising.
Yeah, and I actually think that if the Night King finds a complete dragon skeleton, he would definitely work his magic on raising that too, because some of the zombies or wights that they are called, they are just bones and hardly any tissue left.
But I think they were raised when they had more tissue and that they are just decomposing.
Yeah, deteriorating because of weather and stuff. But, I mean, it's possible, too. I mean, that's just one more good reason to not let the Night King get to King's Landing. Basically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But because them are big dragons.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think is the Night King's plan, though? What is his game plan? What do you want?
I don't know, I think he's going to try to cross the wall.
Yeah, of course.
Soon.
I think actually I've read this theory about him. I'm not going to go too deeply into this theory right now, but he is doing this because of some balance in the world that has to be restored.
Like I said earlier, about him really being the good guy.
Yeah, it's something about him being, because he was made by
the children of the forest.
Children of the forest to protect them from the first man. He was one of the first men that was, made into a Night Walker, a White Walker, to protect them, and that backfired. And then there was some peace because, whatever. Because the first man and the children of the forest worked together and then created peace, and then the White Walkers, they reign in the north, and the first men reign in the south. And now that the men has crossed the border, they have disturbed some balance, and now
but the thing is, the children of the forest put a spell on the wall, so that made the White Walkers not able to cross it. But the moment that Bran walked and got touched by the White Walker, or the Night King, that's when that spell kind of didn't work anymore. It wasn't in effect anymore. So that's the reason why the White Walkers now can cross the wall.
Yeah, I think that's the right of it, but I honestly don't remember completely. But right, so if anyone wants to join us just at the end of the episode now, just to talk a little bit about their predictions for the next episode, or what they thought of this episode, let us know, and we'll send you a link to the Hangout so you can join us on via Facebook.
Yep. But what do we think of this episode, though? Are we happy?
Well,
it's exciting.
Yeah, it was exciting and entertaining, but it was predictable.
Yes.
So it kind of draws it down a little bit, but not a whole lot.
Yeah, there was no, mouth-dropping, shocking things. And that's why I also said that this would have been a nice last episode, because it would have been a nice cliffhanger for us for a year to just, what's gonna happen?
Agonize over.
So much more annoying. But now we know that there's one more episode, and we're probably gonna get some answers.
Yeah, hopefully.
But there's probably gonna be... That kind of brings me to... There's probably gonna be an even bigger cliffhanger and a bigger mindfuck at the end of the episode in the season finale that we're gonna be like, no, we have to wait a year.
Why? They always do that, though, so I wouldn't be surprised if that happens.
No. But do we have any predictions for the next episode?
All right, so we've already kind of touched upon it. There will be a King's Landing scene. Tyrion will be there, Jaime will be there, Cersei will be there. Most likely, Jon and Daenerys will be there unless they find themselves, indisposed. Brienne of Tarth will probably be there if she can make it on time.
Yep.
So there are a lot of really big characters converging down in King's Landing.
And I'm guessing Cersei's gonna do something.
Yeah.
Have you guys watched the preview?
No.
No. Okay. Because there is gonna be a King's Landing thing.
Yeah.
And there's some certain characters you can see, and there's some certain characters that you can't see in the preview, and that kind of scares me. For instance, Euron. I think that Cersei is gonna use Euron to do something crazy.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And also, one thing that makes this episode really hard to predict is that in all the season trailers that's been used, because the thing with last week's predictions was that the preview didn't really show the thing with the horse, the preview didn't show the thing with the fire, and I watched a preview where someone had put together the preview, and everything from the season trailers for the whole season that looked like it was from Beyond the Wall.
Okay.
And that's where the prediction of Benjen and the prediction of the dragons came from, because you can clearly see those pieces of, the puzzle there. But in the trailers, and that has been released, there is only one scene that we haven't seen so far in the series, and that's really nothing important at all. You just see a person kind of going off a small boat and kneeling, and it's nothing of significance at all. So it's really hard to predict exactly what's going to happen, because all the pieces of clues, small clues that you can put from everything else, is not there because they've already been used.
I don't know. I think it's about time we see something from either Yara or Theon again. So maybe Theon will try to rescue Yara, or maybe Euron will try to lay siege to Dragonstone, seeing as the Queen and her dragons will probably not be there.
I think that Euron is going to be the one ambushing at this meeting.
That's also possible.
That's just what I think.
It's very possible. Also, we probably will get to see some action up at the wall, I'm guessing. With the Night King.
They're pretty close to the wall now.
Yeah, they are very close to the wall now. So I think some advancements with the hordes of White Walkers will probably happen.
I think maybe we won't see much of it, but just at the end of the episode, we'll have like a big thing happening there, and that we don't really get to know anything.
No, I agree.
I'm just crossing the wall and be like, uh-oh, now they're in beyond the wall. Uh-oh.
That makes sense. Total sense. I also think that the whole confrontation between Sansa, Arya, Littlefinger will probably get pushed even more next episode.
I think so too. And I think people are gonna start dying like flies, especially down south at King's Landing. If Euron is in charge of attacking and doing sneaky work, people's gonna die.
Yeah, and we still don't know what Grey Worm's fate is going to be, so that would be nice to see if he's gonna die or not before the season ends. So that's a possibility, although I'm not holding my breath for that one.
I don't really care.
I don't really care about Grey Worm either, to be honest. I don't. It just needs to be tied up,
Yep, and I can't wait for that. But I also think that, because I've been talking a lot about the Azor Ahai throughout these spoiler talks, because I'm really curious on who it might be. And so far, the theories on Jaime Lannister, Jon Snow, Daenerys Targaryen, the Hound, or Theon Greyjoy.
That is a long list.
That is a long list, and that's what makes it exciting, that it's not so straightforward.
Yeah.
Because Melisandre has some prophecies according to who the Azor Ahai might be, because she believed it was Stannis.
We know that it's not Stannis.
We know that it's not Stannis. And what she says is that after a long summer, when the stars bleed, the cold breath of darkness falls heavy on the world, or when the red stars bleeds and the darkness gathers, he shall be born again amidst smoke and fire. Yeah. And Stannis, because he was at Dragonstone, and Dragonstone, there's a lot of sea salt, and there's fire because it's Dragonstone.
Yeah.
The reason for the Hound to fit this prophecy is because he was burnt as a child. He was burnt by fire. The salt, don't know, but probably sweat from fighting or something. I don't know. Jamie, not really sure why, but Jon Snow, not really sure about that. But Dany, she was born at the storm at Dragonstone, so that might fit.
It might very well fit.
And Theon, it fits very much because he was born at the Iron Islands, which is also in the middle of the sea. And what we see from the first episode of the season is that when Theon, sort of as Reek, jumps into the water, he is floating in salt underneath the stars. And you can see one of the sand snakes, she is dead, hung up on the front of the boat. And the symbol of
Dorne.
And it's a sun or a star or something, and that kind of symbols, the bleeding stars or something like that. And he is floating in the water underneath her. So that's why I also think it might be Theon.
I mean, the bleeding star might also be a reference to the comet that they saw in season 1 before they left Winterfell. That's also it's a possibility.
It's a very big possibility. That makes it that could be anyone, because everyone saw that bleeding star.
Exactly. Ronald says that I saw a theory that Tyrion might fit the bill of Azor Ahai as well. Yeah, because he did kill Shay, which was his love, and in the prophecy it says that Azor Ahai must kill his love or something. Sacrifice.
No, that was the first Azor Ahai. It's not the prophecy of the reborn one, but the first one did it to fuel his sword. But that might be it. Because he was sort of born again when he came back to Westeros with Dany, and he's at Dragonstone. There's sea and salt. He will make the world anew. That's also a thing with the Azor Ahai prophecy. The Azor Ahai will triumph over darkness, will bring a summer that will never end. Shall wake dragons out of stone. That can be, that can also be a reference to the dragon glass underneath Dragonstone.
That's possible.
Who knows?
Avon also says, theory, Rhaegar and Lyanna was the Song of Ice and Fire. All the rest is based on that song. That's also a possibility.
And that also kind of makes it Dany and Jon Snow in a way.
Yeah, it does.
Because there's a lot of referencing for past times, and there's a lot of stuff that happens again and again and again and again, it seems, in Game of Thrones. And this season has been all about referencing to old happenings from old times.
For sure. Lots of them.
Cool. I like theories, and I like that it's not that predictable, except for this episode, of course. But I like that there is so many different theories that you can pick and choose whatever you like, and there's nothing that seems so legitimate that must be the thing. That must be it.
I'm not sure. Are we talking theories right now?
Yeah.
Okay, because I'm reading one and I think it's very exciting. I'm not sure if we've discussed it before, but it's a theory about Bran Stark actually being the Night's King.
Yeah, we talked about it in that before. Yes, we talked about that before. Yeah. That's one of the earliest things that we talked about in the start of this season, actually.
Yeah, okay.
Because I'm pretty pro that theory. That's one of the things that I personally believe, or did believe.
He does look an awful lot like Bran.
Yeah, and when I'm looking at what they've written about why they theorize it, I mean, it's like, wow, shit. It's very...
Yeah, I know, there's a lot. But the reason I think that's not a possibility anymore is that Bran has not been himself the latest episode. It seems like Bran is not really pushing through anymore. When I believed that Bran was still Bran, I thought that he was trying to go back and change things. But now it seems like he is the three-eyed raven and wouldn't, go out of his ways to try to change the past for his own sake.
Yeah, now he's just more of an observer, really.
Yeah, it seems at least. So I've been pushing a bit away from that theory for a while. But Avon said something interesting earlier about Bran maybe being the Lord of Light.
Yeah, he could be. You never know. He could be whispering things through the fire.
Exactly. But it still doesn't explain how Melisandre got to, make a shadow demon baby and do magic.
Yeah, that doesn't explain that at all. And how people can get resurrected, because Bran has not shown us that he has that power yet.
No, maybe secretly he just pinches a small needle of dragon glass in people's hearts.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Hard to say. Hard to say.
Here's something though. It's about Benjen Stark coming to rescue Jon.
Mm.
And his timing is impeccable.
Yeah.
But the thing is, the first time he saved someone, that was Bran Stark and Mira Reed. Yeah. And that he told them that he saved him because this was the request of the three-eyed raven.
Mm-hmm.
So now that Bran is the three-eyed raven, that I'm thinking that he sent
Benjen
to save Jon.
Yeah,
that's possible. That's possible.
It seems very possible.
Absolutely legit.
Avon says he has not shown us that he does not have those powers either.
Oh, that's very true. Very true.
We know nothing.
No, but the thing is, since the manuscript of Game of Thrones has been leaked, I've tried to stay away from every single piece of new theory that's been out there. I'm just not reading any comment sections. I'm not reading any new articles that has been written, and I'm not watching any new fan theory YouTube videos either, because you can't trust that the people who has made it has not been reading up on what's going to happen, and they're just saying that they have predicted it by themselves. I don't believe it, so I've tried to stay away as good as possible. So any predictions we have has not been spoiled by anything. We don't know anything for certain. Everything we say is just based on what we think. Yeah. So even though this is Game of Thrones spoiler talk, we won't spoil anything that hasn't happened yet.
No, for sure. It's purely conjecture from all of our sides and based on old fan theories that have been out there for quite some time already.
Yes.
Yes.
But that's yeah, Tonya?
No, I was just thinking if we're going to keep talking, or are we?
No, I was just about to say that that pretty much concludes the entire script, and I have not received any messages on Facebook of people who want to join the chat today. Leonidov considered it, but was too tired.
It's understandable.
Very. So I think that we will just wrap it up there, really. And that's pretty good. We only took like 2 hours and 2 minutes, so we didn't really spend that much longer on this episode than we've already done.
It was so straightforward. There was nothing like between. There was no really teasers that was worth talking that much about, because everything happened so straightforward throughout this episode. Yeah, I guess. But we did good. We've been doing this for a while now, so I guess it's becomes more natural.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah, we've gotten used to it.
Yeah. The next episode will probably be on Wednesday, and we'll just discuss the finale.
Yeah, and it'll be a long finale because that's gonna last for like almost 2 hours or something.
That IMDb had written the wrong time before. They wrote such episodes of last.
Something weird happened to your mic now. I can't hear you.
Oh. No, because the IMDb they had written the wrong time before, and they've taken it back, so it will last for 81 minutes.
Oh, cool! That's still a lot.
Yeah, the episode is called Dragon and the Wolf.
Yeah, Dragon and the Wolf. So there will be Starks and there will be Targaryens, pretty sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay, so we'll wrap it up there, and we'll see you next Wednesday at 8 o'clock.
Or some of you we might be seeing even before.
Yes, because tomorrow we will be live streaming another episode of our Dragon Age role-playing game show, Fateful Fumble, if Sunniva is feeling better by then.
Yep.
So, but that is what is planned. And if everything goes as we have planned, it will be the first time all of us play in the same room at the same time together with Rick. So that'll be very, very exciting. The episode is called The Cold Circle, and it's no secret we are going to be attempting to save Keth the Templar, who is being held for trial.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm angsting already.
Yeah, it's gonna be lovely bromance if we succeed.
Yes.
Yep.
It's gonna be like you. I'm just watching. You Valis trying to run into Keth's arms, and Ness just pushes Valis away and jumps into his arms instead. That would be so cool.
Yeah, I have no idea how Rick is planning to do that, but we'll just have to wait and see. But we go live at 7:30 in the evening. So that's 7:30 Central European Standard Time, 19:30 Norwegian time, and 6:30 UK time. PM, that is. PM. All right. So thank you guys for watching today, and we'll see you tomorrow. And we will also be live streaming on Monday with a post-Cabo Econ episode for the CosCast. So stay tuned for that as well.
Yes.
All right. Okay. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon. Bye.